This is an ethical argument about an argument. It's an argument made by a lawyer who's trying to take a righteous position so you can decide for yourselves if you think this is a righteous and valid way to argue your client's case publicly. Because from everything we can tell, this thing has mostly been settled. It is the scandal that keeps giving. And you know why it keeps giving? Because no one will shut up. That's why. The dumbest and most over-the-top scandal is producing, I think, you may see it differently, the scandal that is so over the top is producing an equally ridiculous moral defense by arguing the cheating is justified because college athletes have been cheated for decades. So I guess I'll ask if you're in approval of this defense, this public defense. I'm not, by the way, but feel free to disagree. It feels like, well, I'll test you on this. Who else tries this argument publicly? Let's see if you can figure that one out. You know what I can tell you, though, what never seems to help an argument, what never seems to play very well? That's an O.J. Simpson reference. I don't know. Just seems to me that if you'd like to get traction, if you'd like to make your point, maybe it's best to leave O.J. out of it. The Michigan sign stealing, I know. I thought it was over too. It is, sort of, but no one will be quiet. So now you have to deal with the lawyer who's trying to make a righteous position. So the Michigan sign stealing scandal was cheating. Got it? It was knowingly wrong. And the evidence presented from everything we know proves that it was knowingly wrong. And it was knowingly wrong working its way to the top of the Michigan football food chain. I think it was nothing more than cheating for the sake of cheating. There is no defense other than, hey, guess what? It didn't really matter. Michigan would have won otherwise. But understand this. And this is sort of calling out the industry of college sports in general, which I'm fine with. But the NCAA, that is the governing body of college athletics, sort of. I'm not even sure what they really do anymore, but they're trying to be the rule maker. But understand this. The NCAA is like your neighborhood association, right? You pay dues, and then you have them do the job, the unfavorable job of making the rules. Nobody likes them, but somebody's got to put some rules into place. And so you pay to have those rules put into place. You can't have your car on blocks or the dogs running around, stuff like that. That's what the NCAA is. You pay to follow the rules by the organization that you're a part of. Jim Harbaugh kept blowing them off, and they don't have subpoena power. So I want you to listen to this argument, and you tell me who this sounds like. Connor Stalions. The name will never go away. Surely there's a porn film named after him somewhere. I'm not saying he's in it, but surely somebody had to take that name. Connor Stalions' attorney invokes O.J. Simpson while blasting NCAA after he's hit with an 8-year show cause, which means stay away. This is from Yahoo. Follow this and you tell me if this ethical argument is working on you. A day after the NCAA announced it was fining the Wolverines an 8-figure sum and hitting Stalions with an 8-year show cause penalty, Stalions' attorney Brad Beckwith released a 779-word statement blasting the organization for a vendetta against his client. He says, we're not surprised by the NCAA's ruling because the NCAA did, as it always has done, the wrong thing. Based on the penalties laid down today, it's obvious that this whole ordeal was just another last-ditch effort by the NCAA in its perpetual petty witch hunt of Coach Harbaugh. I'll ask you again, who does this sound like? It's straight from a playbook. He goes on to say Connor was just the vehicle through which the NCAA could give itself the last word on this vendetta. Connor will be fine. He's a wonderful person. Regardless of what the NCAA says today, he plans to continue learning about and contributing to the game of football at its highest. As if you didn't know who all these players were, Connor Stalions was a special ops military guy who was ultimately implicated in a sign stealing scandal. If you're saying to yourself, Jeff, I'm still slightly confused about stealing signs, it's a giant waste of time. Especially when you're playing the likes of Western Michigan. You could tell Western Michigan where you're going to run the next play and it wouldn't matter. Okay, it's just stupid. It's a waste of energy. It typically, when it's done legally, in other words, you just try to figure it out when you're not snooping around and spying on people. When it's done, by the time you think you've deciphered the signals well enough, you're yelling it out to defensive players and they end up just confused. So, yes, people try to steal signs. Yes, it's usually a waste of energy. But this is what the attorney goes on to say. Who does this sound like? Connor already won. We knew he was going to be railroaded the minute the NCAA first leaked this story in violation of its own rules. He decided to expose the NCAA for the fraud in a documentary, Sign Stealer. There was a documentary, I didn't see all of it. It was a Netflix documentary called Sign Stealer. Rather than let the NCAA continue to hide in secret, we decided to let the public see the truth for itself. And what the public saw revealed what we already knew to be true. It's a rigged investigation. It's rigged. Everyone's out to get him. It's rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged. Everybody, and you know this, you wake up every single day thinking, you know what I need to do? I need to go after some obscure graduate assistant for the Michigan football team who I think used to be in the Army and has a fake mustache. That's what the NCAA does every day. They're out to get him. It's rigged. The only way to deal with a bully and hypocrite is to expose them to the public and make sure everyone knows exactly what they're trying to do behind closed doors. We did that, says the lawyer for Connor Stalions. The NCAA claims to be about protecting amateurism in college sports. It does not. The halls of the NCAA headquarters are lined with millions of dollars worth of art paid for on the backs of superstars like Johnny Manziel, Reggie Bush, and the thousands of student athletes who worked for free while the NCAA and its member institutions profited billions. Let's not forget that while the NCAA went after Reggie Bush after he left USC and took his Heisman Trophy away, it let USC continue to proudly display O.J. Simpson's Heisman. Okay, so he was sanctioned. He's out. Jim Harbaugh is off to the Chargers. This is like straight from a Donald Trump playbook. They're out to get him. It's a vendetta. And I guess we're going to now argue also the Big Ten was out to get Michigan as well, because they hate Michigan. They really would prefer that Rutgers win the Big Ten on a regular basis, right? This guy, what an insufferable, my opinion. If you find some sort of moral righteousness to this, you go right ahead. I'm happy to fight with you. But this guy is acting as if his client is some sort of Rosa Parks on some sort of righteous crusade. Jim Harbaugh did this to us once already. We would really like all of you to shut up and go away and stop with the sanctimonious BS. And by the way, it never works well to go Johnny Manziel, O.J. Simpson, and Reggie Bush. That one is a little tired. Jim Harbaugh once lectured us all on due process. Remember this? This whole thing is playing out. He's getting suspended by the Big Ten, right? Because the Big Ten must really hate Michigan. He's lecturing all of us on due process. Every week he sits down in that hat and the khakis and he lectures us. He's going to get his day in court. And then when he finally got his day in court, he didn't show up to even prove his argument. Stop talking. At least Jim Harbaugh said, I've got nothing to say. He broke the rules to try to give Michigan an advantage. Why not just, scout the old-fashioned way and win? It's a powerhouse with every built-in advantage, and they didn't need to steal signs. It was dumb. The reaction is even dumber than the act itself. the only person sleazier than the Stallions guy and everybody involved is Jim Harbaugh, who's now coaching the Chargers. The OJ reference, what do you think of that move? You mentioned guys who knowingly broke the rules. That's what the lawyer is telling all of us now. I don't know where he thinks this is going to go. As if you're going to hear this and go, man, where is Connor Stallings? I want to hire him for my company. He mentioned guys who knowingly broke the rules. Okay? Mentioning Reggie Bush and O.J. Simpson and Johnny Manziel is just weird. See, there are plenty of people that knew the rules and didn't break the rules. So what kind of moral argument is this? Reggie Bush and his family knowingly broke the rules. O.J. Simpson, last time I checked, wasn't still a member of the NCAA, was not still a member of USC when he was hacking off people's heads. What are you doing, man? What are you trying to do? Who in their right mind is falling for this? So they knowingly, all the people he mentioned is knowingly broken the rules. And his argument seems to be that, well, they shouldn't have been the rules anyway. It's not right. Well, of course you break the rules because they're not right. It's not okay. The NCAA is not that concerned typically with sign stealing. Think about this in this whole story. Ohio State had to vacate all of its wins from a 2010 season. And Jim Tressel, their head coach, who won a national championship, by the way, he was run out of the sport, not for cheating to win. Okay? And I think you probably could separate out levels of cheating. I mean, there's levels of cheating when you're trying to get an unfair advantage. There's cheating when you're trying to outsmart the opponent. There's stuff, the stuff what Michigan did. Jim Tressel, who won a championship at Ohio State, was run out of the sport for the players receiving free tattoos. I haven't heard this righteous argument for Ohio State and Jim Tressel. The big takeaway here, I think this will probably be the end of it. I don't know. I don't know why this guy felt compelled to do this or try to play this card. Saying that Reggie Bush and O.J. Simpson, again, I don't know if O.J. Simpson was getting paid while he was in college, but to use him as an example is just unbelievable to me. But Reggie Bush's family was getting exactly what is legal now, sort of legal now, and that is getting his family was on the take. His family was getting paid. Okay, they got a house, they got a car, all kinds of stuff. And so the argument is, well, it shouldn't have been against the rules because you're making so much money off of Reggie Bush, so, morally it was okay. What about everyone else that did follow the rules? The big takeaway. This is a pathetic moral ground, I think. Notice the season itself wasn't touched. Okay, what happened to Michigan is not at all what happened to Ohio State for free tattoos. They didn't lose any games. They didn't lose a championship trophy. Nothing. Nothing was touched. They pay a fine and get their wrists slapped publicly. So notice what's not happening. And real damage being done beyond just a fine. In other words, they're not missing a postseason tournament. It's everything I've been telling you about, and that is there's no way a network is going to let some blue blood that matters lose games and lose a tournament appearance. They didn't touch the on-field show, even though they were found guilty, I guess, of on-field cheating. The on-field product isn't touched. Jim Harbaugh's record is not touched. The trophy's not touched. See, blue blood programs are not going to be punished with a postseason ban. I think that's the big takeaway. No matter what you do, if you got enough money, just pay it off. You're not going to miss games, not going to miss tournament appearances because the networks, Fox and ESPN, are funding and running this whole thing now. There's no way they're not going to let somebody like Michigan or Ohio State or Texas or something like that not be around. So you got two parts here. You got the moral argument, and that is they've been cheating these players so long. My client is a righteous crusader. The OJ reference, how about that one? The Reggie Bush reference, how about that one? Johnny Manziel reference, how about that one? And all this in the end was somehow morally justified. And you've been out to get him. The whole thing is out to get Jim Harbaugh. The whole system is, as they said, rigged to get Jim Harbaugh. I mean, they were so out to get Jim Harbaugh, they ran him off. You know, he could have stayed at Michigan, right? He could have stayed at Michigan. Why did he leave? Now, why is that? So if he's so punished and the system is so out to get Jim Harbaugh, why is he in the NFL now making about $12 million a year? It's pathetic. This whole thing was stupid in the beginning. Your reaction is even dumber. Here's what I want you to keep in mind. If you're injured by the negligence of someone else or you have any sort of issue with the insurance company, I can tell you this from experience. You need DJC Law. And I can tell you, having been a client of theirs, they will do three things. They'll take care of every single detail. You'll get peace of mind working with them, and you will get the result you deserve. That's the way it works with DJC Law. Check out teamjustice.com. And you'll see thousands of 5-star reviews. Look, the bottom line is, and trust me on this, the bottom line is if you're injured by the negligence of someone else, fighting with the insurance companies for any reason, you need DJC Law. And Dan Christensen and his team of lawyers at DJC Law have a remarkable track record. Go to teamjustice.com or call 512-888-9999. That's 512-888-9999.